Hello everybody, so this is going to be a video about what sort of bad events I think are more likely to happen than others, and we'll say this to begin with globally, and then we might go down to a country level. So I've had quite a few requests for a video like this, but I wasn't exactly sure what to title it, so the title of this video is probably going to be a bit crap because I sat around for ages and ages and nothing seemed to fit. But I think the biggest global threat is going to be another strain of sort of killer flu. Now, if you are familiar, and I always bring this one up, is the Spanish flu of 1918. Around then, killed about 100 million people, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depending on the sources. But easily killed more people than World War I in a couple of years from being just a really bad strain of flu. And there's not much you can actually do against flu, because even though we now have antibiotics and things like that, maybe they'll help a bit, but they're not actually going to cure flu. Just like there's not a cure for the common cold, because, you know, it's lots of different upper respiratory infections that are all very sort of similar but not quite the same, so you can't really easily make a cure for them. So, obviously, with this sort of bird flu, what's happened is that in China it's called H7N9, and I've covered this before on previous videos, but there's been a bit more of a news update about it, at least right at the end of August when I'm filming this video. This video is probably not going to be up till like halfway through September or something, knowing my ahead of schedule thing, but so see if there's been any more developments by the time this video goes live. But basically, what's happened is that there's a very, very deadly strain of bird flu in China, up to about a 40% death rate if you catch it. It might not be as high as that if you had prompt medical treatment, or if, you know, depending on how good your living conditions are, but regardless, what's happened is there's currently a strain of bird flu called H7N9 that you catch from poultry and things like that, and then, you know, once you've caught it, you're infected. Apparently it can't spread from human to human yet, but it might be close to mutating to do that, and obviously that's a very serious, almost upgrade when that happens, because it's not going to be just people who work sort of in chicken farming and things like that start getting it. It's going to be almost anyone if they contact anybody else with it. So, as said, what makes it so deadly is like the 30 to 40% mortality rate if you catch it. And I think something like the Spanish flu was something only like 10%. So, you know, you've got something 4 times deadlier, which could go out of control. And a big problem is the World Health Organization, lots of groups like that, have said to China, let's have samples of this so we can start trying to work on a cure or try and figure stuff out, and China's saying no. So you've got a bit of a problem here, because there's something that's obviously spiralling out of control in China as much as they're trying to cover it up. Everybody knows this is happening, but they're not actually going to cooperate with anybody else to help them cure it, you know, or try and take preventative measures. So what could potentially happen is, if it makes the leap of being able to jump from human to human, not from bird to human, it will become very serious. Now, I'm not sure if it's this current strain of bird flu, because there's a couple of nasty ones around at the moment, or if it's another strain, but at least one of them, the birds can have it and show no symptoms, so it won't kill them or anything like that, but they're carriers, and then humans can catch it from them, which makes it obviously very hard to monitor and control, because you could potentially have more and more birds being able to spread the flu to humans, but, you know, the birds themselves don't appear ill or anything and don't die. They're just able to spread it to you, you know, and other birds, which is of course a serious problem if it starts spreading more and more. And I think this is what they're seeing in some places, you know, where places in Russia now have caught it from China, because the migratory birds are flying over, and they've somehow caught it and shown no symptoms. This might be another strain of bird flu, but it's still an important point. So, I think personally, either bird flu of some sort, an avian flu, or even you know, like a swine flu type thing. If one of those that's particularly deadly makes a jump of being able to go from, you know, other people, you know, like birds to other people, then that would be a very serious event in terms of, you know, a global pandemic. And there'll probably be other diseases as well, but flu is generally the worst one, because flu is one of those diseases, most people ignore it, but if you look at mortality rates from flu, it's generally one of the biggest killers per year anyway. Obviously normally like young and elderly, but the point being that if you've got a disease that's around all the time, that's pretty good at bumping people off. When you get a particularly nasty strain of that disease, you know, your numbers are going to be much, much worse. So I think on the global pandemic stage, either a type of flu that's very nasty, or another disease is probably what would be the most likely to cause an apocalyptic event. Now, I'm not an astronomer, so I can't tell you how likely it is for an asteroid or a meteorite to hit the Earth and do to us what it did to the dinosaurs or anything like that, or some sort of solar flare wiping us out. But, you know, that's potentially, I guess, another one of the things that could be a problem. So I'll just throw it in here while I'm, you know, speaking about stuff, just in case people know the odds of that. Now, I think at a countrywide level, you're much more likely to see sort of civil unrest, violence over, you know, lots of problems. Either it could be energy outages, because apparently some first world countries now are even getting those, where they've just not got the right infrastructure or there's not been the right funding put into things. So it could be civil unrest to do with power outages. How well would most people cope without power for several days in a row? Probably not very well at all. Another problem you could obviously have is, like, sort of, I guess, I'm trying to think of a PC way to say this because this is YouTube, but sort of religious or sort of ethnic tensions. That's happening in a lot of Western European countries. Again, because it's on YouTube, I won't go too far into that. But I think everybody knows what I'm talking about with those sort of events. So they're another one that could be potentially, you know, very bad. But there's also just people, you know, that are very poor and, you know, can't get onto the housing ladder anywhere in lots of Western European countries because housing prices are so expensive. They can rent, but renting, you know, costs them nearly their entire month's wages, so they're not saving anything. And there's lots of people like that, I imagine, which are getting sort of very angry and things, and that could all spiral off. And you see events in some countries where something relatively minor happens, but it kicks off a lot of anger people have had, you know, which does start something. So there's lots of things like that. Of course, there could be labour riots and things like that. Again, these are the much more smaller scale things. There could also be lots of things like wildfires and flooding. In the UK, because we had a very hot summer, we had several wildfires. Some of them, unfortunately, have started deliberately by the sounds of it. And with flooding in the UK, we get lots of areas that routinely flood sort of every year when we get a lot of rain. Again, because we don't have enough housing in the UK, lots of housing has been built in areas it's not really good to build houses on, so sort of floodplains and things like that. So every year you get people, you know, that get flooded simply because they don't live on high ground, because the housing company has decided that would be a good place to build houses. So, you know, there's all things like that. So overall, as I was saying, I think a global flu outbreak or some sort of big deadly disease is going to be the most likely thing to cause lots of problems. But I do think there's lots of tensions building up in lots of countries, you know, regarding various things that could also cause problems. As said, I don't want to go too much into that because I try not to be too political on this channel, although sometimes I get drawn into it. But I'm sure people will know what I'm on about with all of these things, because I also don't want to shove my opinion too much into a lot of these things. I'd like to keep it as objective as possible. So there you go, that's what I think in general would be the most likely things to cause some sort of catastrophe. Like I said, global-wise, I think it would have to be either a meteorite hitting the Earth or something like that, or just a nasty flu or other sort of disease outbreak. Because if something spreads between humans easily in the age of, you know, ships everywhere, flights everywhere, especially if it's one of those diseases that you can catch and spread for a couple of days before you show symptoms, you're probably in a day going to have it, especially if it spreads from China, the most, you know, country with the most population on Earth. If it spreads everywhere in China and then it starts, you know, spreading out of China very quickly with flights and, you know, ships and everything everywhere, it would be a very bad situation. And then at that stage, I guess you just have to stay indoors and hope that you have enough food to outlast everybody else dying from it and whatever. Which is a bit of a grim prospect, isn't it? I imagine as well something like that would completely wreck economies. Because if, you know, lots of people can't go to work because they're ill, or they don't want to go to work because they don't want to catch something or spread something, that's going to do lots of damage to economies, where if people are simply not working, you've got lots of problems. So anyway, this is my summary of what I think would be the biggest catastrophes. As I've said a few times in the video, I think a big flu outbreak is going to be the biggest one. But I'm pretty much sure in any country you could have like localised ones to a country or an area based on, you know, various things happening. So there you go. Hopefully you've sort of enjoyed a grim subject to this video, and as I said, I have to try and think of a good title for this video now because I've not been able to yet.